Good afternoon. Welcome to the February 26th meeting of the Yakima School Board. Before we begin, I'd like to remind our audience we do offer Spanish interpretation services from Nate with Language Connection. If you need translation assistance in person today, please check with Nate or Barb for a device. Nate, can you translate that information? At the mic, please.
Bueno, para las personas que necesiten servicio de intérprete, estamos disponibles. Hay aparatos aquí atrás y estaremos en las sillas.
Gracias por tu ayuda. We do provide live streaming for the meeting. The link will be found on our webpage under Board of Directors or by going directly to www.ysd7.org/board-meetings. If you wish to make a public comment today, there are two options available for you. The first option is for commenting on agenda items only, and the second option, which comes toward the end of the meeting, is for all other topics. In order to speak today, you will need to sign two forms, a sign-in form and the guidelines form, and those will be available at the table with Barb. If you're interested in watching past meetings, you can find them on our webpage's YSD YouTube channel. And now we'll call the meeting to order. Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett?
Here.
Director Rice?
Here.
Vice President Villanueva is on her way. Director Navarro Jr.? President Walker?
Here. And next up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a Stanton student leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. If you don't mind introducing yourself before you lead us.
Hello, my name is Jorge Martinez, and will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe John will be presenting the word of the month.
Patience is our character education word for February. This means the capacity, habit, or fact of being patient. Character education teaches the habits of thought and deed that help people live and work together as families, friends, communities, neighbors, and nations.
Thank you. Next up, we have our land acknowledgement.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
Hoy las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Yakima descansan en las tierras ancestrales de las 14 tribus y bandas confederadas de la nación Yakima.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
La gente de la nación Yakima habitó más de 10 billones de acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties.
En los condados de Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Franklin, Kittitas, Klickitat, y Yakima.
Today we honor those native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture.
Hoy honramos a estos pueblos originales que están vinculados en la tierra a través de historias, leyendas y culturas.
We acknowledge our descendants who live in the world today.
Reconocemos a sus descendientes que viven en el mundo de hoy.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Agradezcamos a los guardianes de la tierra, quienes han vivido aquí y continúan viviendo aquí desde tiempos inmemoriales.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect.
Un reconocimiento es una manera simple y poderosa de mostrar respeto.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture.
y un paso hacia la corrección de las historias y prácticas que borran la historia y la cultura de los pueblos indígenas.
It also honors the truth.
También honra la verdad.
As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Como distrito escolar, continuaremos fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones con la nación Yakima.
Thank you, students. Next up is the highlight of our presentation today. From Stanton Academy, we have Principal Natalie Riley. Dr. Green, would you like to provide some introduction?
Thank you. I feel like I'm stealing her applause, so we'll have to do that again. It's just a pleasure, first of all, to be here at Stanton Academy. I think as we look here around the facility, it's really a testament of the belief of the board and others that have come before us in creating such a great environment. And yet the environment, the physical environment itself is nothing without the leadership and the teachers to create the opportunity for students to not only meet their ability, but to also understand how much people do care about them. And it's not just about educating when our students are here in the building, but making sure that there is a connection even when they're away from the building. And I think we all would agree that our students don't care how much we know at times, but they know how much we care. And that really resonates here at Stanton Academy. And it's my pleasure then today to introduce our principal here at Stanton Academy and the wonderful work that she's done. I have the opportunity to connect with her almost every morning to talk about what's happening throughout the day or the day previous and to help understand exactly what's happening and what staff and students need here. So I'm also looking forward to hearing her presentation, but first and foremost, I thank her for her leadership and the leadership of her assistant principal and the dedication of her staff. So with that, I'll introduce our principal, Natalie Riley.
Thank you.
Applause.
And we would like to thank the board and cabinet for being here at Stanton, because Stanton is a very special place. I do apologize. I've been sick for a little bit, so I will try to keep us together. So I want to acknowledge my staff that's here, as well as my students that greeted you at the door, and will be in the classrooms when we do the tours. So just acknowledging that my staff is here and wants to be able to showcase what we are all about. So acknowledging them, as well as my assistant principal, Kevin Brennan, who plays a huge role in the work that we do at Stanton. So I think it's just important to acknowledge that they're here to show you what Stanton is all about and give you that picture of us. So we are truly a school that does support students that maybe need something a little different than a traditional school. There we go. So part of our motto at this school is that we rise. So as oftentimes our students' path and stories that brought them to Stanton have some struggles and potentially have some significant challenges that got them here and require a significant amount of resilience to be able to continue on with their education. So part of our commitment at Stanton is that we are a community that is committed to improving student learning and supporting all of our students in their pursuit of graduation and beyond, because we do focus on what's next, because high school is such a small portion of their life and we want to prepare them for what's coming. So we also realize that our students may need to experience something just a little bit different. And we as a staff are committed to helping them experience something a little bit different, more creative, innovative ways, and are dedicated to supporting our students' needs to reach their full potential during the time that they're here. So we are willing to think outside of the box, and so of our students, so that they can reach the end goal of graduation and then continuing to commit to our community after that. So part of what we've done, really, one area of focus in our building is based upon staff feedback. Our historical data is attendance. We know that attendance has been a concern since COVID, but it's something that we significantly deal with here at Stanton. So it's our priority to make it a factor for our students to be here, because we know that when students are here and attending regularly, they're more likely to graduate on time and earn the appropriate credits that they need to earn that diploma. So we have an attendance committee that runs weekly and is run by Mr. Brennan. So the goal of those meetings is to identify our students that have attendance concerns and needs, as well as create tiered systems of support to make sure we meet the needs of those students. And at times we do individually case manage students to make sure they're attending, find out what those barriers are, and begin to remove them for them. We have made system changes that have had a huge impact already this year. So such as calling every absent student's family, connecting with them. And when we can't reach our students, we oftentimes go meet them where they are. So whether that's a home visit or just going to the community to figure out how we can support them. So with our focus on improving attendance, having it made a part of our school improvement plan has been a big priority for us because we know that those school improvement plans are driving the work that we're doing, and we want to make sure that our focus here aligns with those things. So our focus of our school improvement plan has been specifically on our freshman class, as well as all of our students. At the start of our second semester, we had a meeting with all of our freshman families and their admin and advisory teachers to share their successes, concerns around their academics and attendance in an effort to increase their attendance and engagement in school. So students are being consistently acknowledged across our system for their improvements and successes. So it's not just hitting the 90% range, it's what's the growth, where are they at, where have we met them, and how do we continue to have them grow. So we have weekly acknowledgements for our on-time attendance for classes and individual students. And students at this point are dependent upon those acknowledgements because they are coming to classes and remember if we don't make those phone calls or don't do the overhead announcements. So due to the work that's been happening just since we started this school year, myself and Mr. Brennan are both new admin to this building, so we are growing along with our staff. We have consistently improved our attendance and are seeing a minimum increase of 5% up to 15% over last year's monthly attendance rates. So, and we have all of our attendance rates, but we're seeing some significant attendance increases. And I would say February was actually our most positive month with hitting more close to the 80% range of attendance. So we're definitely seeing huge increases in attendance. We also have more students enrolled than we did in the beginning of the year. So not only are we increasing enrollment in Stanton, but we're also increasing attendance. So we're having more students enrolled and more students attending. Another area that we begin to focus on is our tiered systems of support, or MTSS. So based upon our MICE Sabers, which is a screener, our data around our students' social emotional needs, a majority of our students score in a higher risk category than their like peers at other high schools. So we have decided to take that information and to create clear and consistent supportive systems that address our students and their needs and really focusing on the tier 1 systems. So we've been trying to have a clear and consistent response for all students that allow them to focus on the school-wide system and draw everything back that we do to those school-wide systems put in place. Our PBIS team has a clear focus on teaching the RISE, which is relationships, integrity, success, and empathy, expectations to all students through advisory classes. And we do have advisory 5 times a week. So we are seeing our advisory students every single day and making those connections there, as well as using the Character Strong curriculum and teaching this with fidelity as a social emotional support and learning tool for all grade levels. We are teaching students each of the characteristics and making sure to tie any acknowledgements to those. So anytime a student is acknowledged for something they're doing, we are tying it to our RISE expectations. When we're having the conversations in the offices and in those spaces with students, our job is to really tie those to those school-wide expectations and making them a priority. So as a staff, we are making it a priority to be consistent with our expectations and using advisory to make sure and teach those expectations. Part of what we know is that if we don't teach students, we can't expect them to know. And so part of what we've expected us to do is teach our students what we need them to know to be able to provide and ask them that support. So we do feel that when we have anything in the way, so whether it be attendance or social emotional needs, it gets in the way of being able to focus on school, which is the academic part. So that's why our focus is those 2 areas initially, so that we can focus on the academic skills and really make those the priority. We also have a student principal council that meets twice a month for students and myself to share ideas and concerns. So these students were recommended by staff and then have put out to students that want to be a part of this student council. So we do meet twice a month. What this does is it offers the idea to solicit ideas and feedback from students about initiatives and changes, as well as allow them to hear it first, do some processing before it goes out to the whole student population, because we know sometimes when we have a couple of students that understand it, have a better understanding of it, and push it out, it sometimes lands better than it does when we push things out. So we have used that committee to make sure that that information is shared out with them. It also ensures that we have student voice in all of our decisions and that they are able to support the information shared out with the entire school. So when they bring ideas to that group and we don't agree, we work through it until we do agree so that what goes out is what they agree and has their voice involved in it. So we have seen a significant decrease in discipline data since making this focus really starting in October. So as you can see kind of on the chart, so we have the last 3 years of discipline data, so exclusionary data. And we've had a significant amount of exclusionary data in October when we really started implementing the systems and are continuing to see now at this point a decrease each month with just one exclusion in January. And so we're seeing that the systems we're putting in place by our team are making noticeable changes to our discipline and also student choices that are made in the building. Our goal is to keep kids here. So everything we're doing is to keep kids here. So we definitely have seen a pretty significant decrease in the discipline data.
Excuse me, I have a quick question, just clarification. Exclusionary, can you define that, please? That's a new term for me.
Yes, so anytime we're talking about exclusionary data, it is really suspension. So anytime they're not able to access their day-to-day, yeah. So one of the things that we're doing is we're really making strides to address our students' attendance and social emotional needs. It allows us more time to focus on the academics. So one area that we excel in at this school is really offering more hands-on classes through our CTE offerings. So we do have 7 CTE teachers, and we offer 35 class opportunities of CTE classes. And so our entire teaching staff feels like we need to offer something different, a different learning opportunity for our students, and more project-based hands-on is where we continue to see student success. So it's not that we don't have success in other classes, but where we continue to see an excelled success is when students have an opportunity to show you what they can do, to experience it, to be hands-on. And so we have seen that to be consistent across the board in all of our classes. So students are able to take these classes, experience success, and apply these skills to their future, which is important for us because we want them thinking beyond high school. So we have classes from financial literacy to photography to video game design and agricultural mechanics. That's just to name a few of the classes. Today during the tour, you'll be able to see some of those spaces as well. It is our continued priority to offer students different opportunities and experiences while they are here. We're exploring hands-on opportunities in classes and coming together as a staff during our PLT time to work and provide the best learning experience for our students. We know that we need to do something just a little bit different to be able to catch our students and make sure we offer them the best opportunities. So all of our PLT groups are strong and collaborative to have the conversations and brainstorm about implementation of our school-wide strategies. We have implemented an ELA, so a school-wide strategy that all classes are implementing to provide academic consistency for all students to see. And it also allows students to see the importance of a content that goes across all classes. So we are working on a reading and writing strategy that all classes will be doing, and it allows them to be able to see it in each class. And it may look different in each class, but the reality is it's a goal that needs to be used and something that can be applied in the future for them. So that's our goal in the PLT work, is that we have the school-wide strategy that we're all gathering information on and supporting our students to be able to understand that reading and writing are going to carry you through everything. And that's a priority for us to be able to see in every single class. So whether it's hands-on or a traditional style classroom. So part of the thing with Stanton is that our teachers have an exceptional heart and an exceptional ability and an exceptional come for our students. And so I think that what we have to understand is that at Stanton, we're committed to improving our students, our outcomes in the social, emotional, attendance, academics, that our goal is to have them on the pathway for on-time graduation and thinking beyond high school, because we think that if we can continue to positively impact our students, they will go out in the community and do pretty amazing things. And so that's really our priority, is how do we get them to the next step, and how do you see our students from Stanton proud of where they came from and also changing our community. So I think that's our priority really at Stanton. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Just a comment, I want to congratulate you on your progress on attendance and the positive movement we see there, and on the decrease in the disciplinary rates, and appreciate that you've outlined the different strategies that you've implemented to support both of those efforts. That's difficult to see. It can be difficult to make those changes, is what I mean. So congratulations on all of that work, and just want to commend all of the staff really at Stanton. I've had a niece and nephew come through Stanton, and it was really just a special place for them and provided them with a safe haven where a traditional high school really didn't fit for them. So the staff and all the work that happens here is really special, and I'm really grateful that we have an opportunity like this. So thank you, and to all the staff at Stanton for all the work that you do and for the successes you've had this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie, I want to thank you for your presentation. It was concise and informative. I appreciate the focus on CTE options for a lot of the students here at Stanton. I think if we had more CTE options at the comprehensive high schools, we might see an equal or equivalent level of engagement from those students as well. I know that academics is not necessarily a focus, but it's an outcome from getting these students engaged. And if what it takes to get them engaged is ag mechanics or video game design, then it's a win-win for everyone. So thank you very much for opening up some doors and broadening some horizons for these kids.
Thank you.
I too wanted to commend you for the great work you're doing at Stanton, and also for the faculty and staff here in creating a great environment for those students who don't fit into traditional type of educational environments. So I do really appreciate that, and I know that they come here and they're able to kind of spread their wings and grow. And you know, I have the privilege of working with a lot of students from Stanton at YVC, so I get to see, you know, how they leave Stanton and they're ready to go, and maybe they're not at the high levels for academics, but you know, they're more inspired and want to work hard, and they can see that the work before them that they need to do, and that they want to improve their quality of life for themselves and their families. And I think that's all a result of all the work that you all do here at Stanton Academy. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank you also, and just ditto the comments of my colleagues on the board. If there are no further comments or questions, I guess we're ready for our tour.
Awesome. So this is, so we have graphic design and photography and airbrushing in this. So it's a CTE class. And so she's put out some of the projects that they've done. So you have the opportunity to see kind of some of the graphic design stuff as well as the airbrushing. And they have an opportunity to access all of her classes and can take them throughout their day. And being able to just, they do shirt pressing, they do a lot of the digital work. And then there's some of the hands-on with the airbrushing.
And they do an art show every year?
Yes, an art show in the spring. One of the things that is really highly successful in our campus is the student store, which is run by our marketing class. So students design the clothing that comes into Stanton, do all the creation of that, and then are open at lunches to offer the drinks and the different things. They do the weekly specials, which is typically one of our employees, which is always really fun because they draw them, and you know, you never quite look the same as you do in a character. Yeah. This is really our library space, as well as our teacher and our IF, Ms. Meiser. So she's our EL students, so one section of EL students, and then she runs this space, as well as she's our instructional facilitator for the building. So she's really doing a lot of everything, but really supporting us. We want to be able to say we transform this space into an opportunity for our students. Because they didn't necessarily have access to this until just a couple of years ago. So this is a very new space that we've offered for our students that we didn't have before. And so just wanting to make sure our students are getting their hands on books just like everybody else, and making sure that we're making readers here just like everywhere else. So that's really been our priority.
Truly, up until 3 years ago, Stanton had no library, like zero access to books, only the books that teachers purchase. And so the opportunity for our students to use the space and to be able to have books and come in at lunch and have a homework space, but also reading. Our kids, we knew that they would be readers. We did not realize how much they would utilize the space. So we've been really appreciative, and it's been an amazing experience. The opportunity not only to be an instructional facilitator, but also to be able to be a pseudo librarian to these kids.
What I wanted to show today are a couple things. I teach financial fitness, I teach career choices, and then marketing, which is the student store. Another thing that I'm involved in, all of the CE teachers here are part of TSA, Technology Student Association. So we are gearing up right now. In fact, we're about 3 weeks away from state competition. And I wanted to show you, I have 2 fashion design teams this year, which is new because I've always only had 1. So this is last year's. This took 4th in state. In the corner on my wall where it says the power charger, the theme that year was to create something for somebody that somebody would wear if they worked at an amusement park. That took 1st in state, and the kids went to nationals.
Oh, wow. How cool.
The 2 here are in progress, and I'm going to turn this around so that Hector and Maria can be wowed. They were here 2 weeks ago, and we were cutting strips. They have not seen any of this. This is still a work in progress, and it's not completely sewn together. But this is what we were working on. So there's the back of their cape. They were cutting all these strips out. So the theme this year for these 2 is avant-garde, which just means a very over-the-top garment, wearable garment. And I will try to show you when this is finished. Wow. This is a hood that will be attached, and the cape will be finished. It will also have the accentuated shoulders, but not quite like this. And then the whole cage here will be lighted because they have to incorporate technology. This here, it's very hard for me to explain, but if I show you their sketches, it reminds me a little bit of Marie Antoinette. So this is all an after-school thing too. This all happens outside of the classroom. So it's really fun to see the kids. This year, since I've been doing TSAs the biggest year, we will take 8 students with us this year. We will compete in fashion design, and we also have a robotics team going. That is so cool. So as I can see.
This is obviously our shop, which has a lot of opportunities in here. So this year we added ag mechanics. Mr. Mapes is the teacher for that. On the other side, they do more of the robotics. So these classrooms are really the 2 spaces that are joined together, and kids are doing more of the hands-on in the machines. We have the welding phase that they added this year, this end of last year, that students are now on and using pretty consistently in their classes. And so just giving the opportunity for Mr. Mapes or George, I don't know which one of you is if you're gonna share something, but just the opportunity to say just kind of what goes on. And there's always the engagement, the activity, and the excitement in this classroom is great. And we've got all these power tools, and we keep it all together down here. So it's a positive space for kids.
I'll give you a rundown on the shop in a minute, but George's going to tell you this is the last project these students did.
So this one right here, we're making dices, but out of different densities or materials. Oh, sorry. Here you go. So yeah. So
we started with a piece of pine, and just to see, and it's a proper dice. It's the sequence is correct. Opposite sides on a dice have to equal 7. So they had a layout sheet, and they had to work that out. And then we went to a piece of oak, and this was fairly easy because the oak didn't take a lot of finish, and it makes a nice piece.
I like this one the most, the metal or the aluminum. It takes definitely a little more time because when we just got it, it was a little more rough. So what Mr. Mates had us do was grab like different grits of sandpaper and sand them down from the lowest grit to a higher one, a more finer one, so it could look a little nicer, a little more polished.
This one took a little more work, and we've cleaned it up, but there was a lot of aluminum dust on the floor. And no, we're not going to teach them to gamble. In case they can. In the back. Yeah, he asked me.
And then as you can see here, there's a couple other like projects we have done. Even my dad loved the toolbox. He stole it from me, so. Yep. I also really enjoyed our cowbell. The most important part, or like my favorite part, was welding it. We got to weld it. Yeah, this is where I learned to weld here in school, so I think that's pretty cool.
Thanks again for the informative tour. We'll reconvene and finish our agenda. Next up, we have updates from members of the board.
Two weeks left. 2 weeks left till the end of the legislative session. And so the budgets are public now, and they're trying to munch them into some semblance of order. One of the bills that we've been working on is some extra funding for MSOC. And I think right now that funding is at $21 per head per FTE student. So I don't know if that's going to change, if it's going to end up being, if that's what we'll end up with. But as Jake said earlier, anything is better than nothing. I don't know that there's going to be an awful lot of extra money in these budgets for public education, but we and all the alphabet soup of education advocates have been working really hard to make sure that the legislators do recognize that public education is the primary responsibility for the state. Having said that, we're now only getting 43% of the budget. And just a few years ago, it was 51, 52%. So when someone says that public education gets all the money, I would beg to differ. I sent out 2 weeks ago the list of proposals that made it through General Assembly last fall. And I would ask that you give that a look, and if there's something that you see that's missing, if we have a hole somewhere, or if there's a proposal that you want to bring back or amend in some way, I'm more than happy to work with you. The window for proposals opens on March 11th and closes on April 8th. And the proposal has to be approved at a board meeting by the board. So they have in the past allowed individuals to submit proposals, but the rules changed last year so that only boards can present proposals, and they have to be approved by the board. So we have, I think, 1, 2, maybe 3 meetings between now and the end of the proposal cycle. So at one of the March meetings, I'm hoping that we can have some time to discuss any ideas that you'd like to have submitted for WASDA to consider at General Assembly. I think that's it.
Mark, I do have a question. There was a bill that caught my attention regarding financial literacy, which I believe is a good idea. Do you know the status of that bill? And
I think it's still alive.
Okay.
I mean, last night was the final fiscal cutoff.
Yes.
But I think it was still alive last week.
Okay.
So I haven't heard that it's not. There's an awful lot of energy behind it. There was a student from Southridge, I think, that worked with Representative Rude from Walla Walla, and they submitted that as a bill, and this student from Southridge has been kind of shepherding it through the process. So the question is, if they're going to make it a graduation requirement,
I think that's what they were asking for. Right?
yeah, or not, whether it can be folded into something else. Because right now we have 24 credits required by the state.
Yeah.
So, you run out of extra space really quickly. So I'm glad to see Stanton has a financial literacy component here. Not all schools do in the state. I don't know if our two comprehensive high schools do or not, but at a minimum, it's going to have to be, if it passes, it's going to have to be either a standalone. At a minimum, it's going to have to be folded into something else, maybe a math class or something. I don't know.
Okay,
But
thank you.
as far as I know, it's still alive.
And correct me, Martha, I think in some of the discussion around that, one of the issues is there's of course, no fiscal note accompanying it. So districts would be on their own to meet the financial requirements of incorporating a new requirement. So that's some of the pushback against that bill. So yeah, that's going to be part of the challenge too, I think.
Just for clarity's sake, it passed the House. House Bill 1915 was the bill number. It passed 97-0 on a floor vote, and then Wednesday it passed out of Senate or K-12 Early Learning Committee. So it is still alive.
So is it in rules now?
Likely, unless they moved it right to Ways and Means, but it is still alive. And it's
Okay.
House Bill 1915. in case
Thank you,
curious.
Jake.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other reports from members of the board? Okay, thank you, Martha. Moving on to Dr. Green's update.
Thank you. All right, we're talking by our eyes right now here. Barb, you're going to pull up the photos, please. Okay, so we're going to start out. Just would like to. We believe that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we've appreciated the time to go through some of the events that have happened, and knowing that you can't make it everywhere, it provides a great outlet for what is happening throughout our district. This was at McClure Elementary, Valentine's Day. I need some more friends like you. I think we all do. But one of the young ladies there at the beginning of school, it was just wonderful to walk in there and see how they were celebrating that day. It actually coincided with one of the 100-day celebrations. As you remember, the 2 snow days really caused a shift. So we had like 4 different days that 100-day was celebrated. So I was able to participate in many of those. Moving forward, so is this the second photo? Yes, I was looking away. So here we have a wonderful announcement that happened with our staff. And you can see in here that we have Sherry Anderson and what? Oh, yeah. And Andrew Espinosa. Yeah, no, I was just making sure I got her name right. Actually, I was worried about the first one, not the second. And Andrew Espindola is our new principal at Franklin Middle School, and we were able to announce that to staff and take a photo with him in front of staff, and this was very well received. His first lead principal job, and he has been there as an assistant principal, bilingual, Spanish-speaking, English-speaking. We're excited about what he brings to that Franklin family. So we will then open an assistant position. Here we have, and this is actually back at McClure. So you saw the young lady on Valentine's Day. This is the same day. So you can see the 100th day celebration, kids dressed up. Next slide, please. Staff, curlers, makes for a nice curler day, low prep, and of course, dressing as somebody that's 100 years old. Moving forward then to the next opportunity that we have, this was a celebration of our levy. So we did pass the levy. So we have a thank you to our voters, followed by some of the photos. I think we have 3 photos of students. There's another dress-up photo. That one's actually from McKinley. And then that one right there is from some students at Robertson Elementary, showing off some of their art. The next round, oh, this is great. So listen up, please. This is where I met Taylor Swift.
Hi, my name is Taylor Addison Swift, and I was born on December 13th, 1989. I forgot. Okay. I'm famous for my singing and songwriting. I have made an impact on society by chasing dreams and help people chase their dreams. I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's just wonderful to see the four to six rows of students. The line of parents was out to the road. I was able to wait in line with them, so that was a nice experience, and then hold the door as we went in, and then we were able to engage and take part in that. So I have many more photos. This is another one here. You have Joy Adamson. This was one of our famous gymnasts. Who's a famous gymnast? Who's the most famous gymnast? That's who that was. Simone Biles. Yes. Yes. And then we have Taylor Swift, of course, Abe Lincoln, President's Day coming up, and Elizabeth Blackwell. Many, many more, but I just showed about 5 of the individuals for the purpose of letting you know what's happening around the district. And then this was the last one. This was actually Friday. We had the opening of Alexandra Lozano. This is a immigration law office, and she was responsible for the donation of thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of winter clothing. So coats, hats, scarves, gloves at Nob Hill Elementary. She has a firm that has been based in Seattle. They've now extended to the Yakima area. They're off of 40th, very near to the Teaching and Learning Center. And as I was there for the ribbon cutting, it was amazing how many members of her staff were actually former individuals that had gone through the Yakima school system or been in Lower Valley. So her team is completely bilingual. The offices were full of families engaging in their services through the immigration law component. So we're happy to have them as a partner. A partner is of mutual benefit, and we're appreciative of that relationship, and wish them well in serving our community. So that gives you an idea of some of the events that have happened since the last time that we have met. The next item that I have for you is I'd like to invite Nick Mifflin. Are you here? Could you come up to the front here? So he's going to go to the very front here. And what I want to tell you about Nick, if you don't remember or don't know, Nick is assistant principal at Washington Middle School. And he is doing some just phenomenal things regarding leadership, and has taught me so much about leading from where you are. So you don't have to be the principal of a building to make a difference. And I think it was Margaret Mead who said, never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And he's demonstrating that really in the work that he's engaged in. And I am grateful for Principal Hilton turning him loose. I think part of that leadership is just knowing when you have somebody who is willing to run and letting them just engage in an opportunity to change things for an entire system. So over the course of the last couple of years, following a vision to mentor students, he has engaged in a partnership with Washington Middle School, leading Washington Middle School, with also with Yakima Schools Foundation and Safe Yakima Valley. And we do have somebody here from Safe Yakima Valley. We have their executive director, Alicia Strom-Tobin. Could you come on up here and join Nick? This mentor program was funded through a $15,000 grant from Yakima Valley Community Foundation. It also involves a mentor team. You may remember some of these names or recognize some. Cy Ruiz from the Schools Foundation, Christina Carlson, community volunteer, one of our former employees, Jennifer Hernandez, who's a teacher at Washington Middle School, Tamia Welsh, Jason Estrada, Bill Hilton, Nick Mifflin, and Amanda Estes Torres. And what this does, this mentorship, is it matches community-based mentors with a range of interests and career fields for our students to engage in one-on-one mentoring. They have a wonderful vision to provide strong relationships to struggling and unengaged students. And they have mentoring program goals to connect students with a strong relationship between an adult, a caring adult in the community, and the student, to increase overall engagement, to improve school connectedness of students, and to reduce risk behaviors such as referrals, reflections, skipping class, and failing grades, and substance abuse or use. Right now, Nick is wondering why I'm stealing his thunder and sharing all of the information about the program. What he doesn't know is that we did receive a wonderful email that I want to share with you, and I want you to watch his face as I read this. So this is actually from Alicia Strom-Tobin, who's the executive director, to his left. And it says, "Good morning, Trevor. I hope that this email finds you well. I'm not sure if YSD has any formal recognition program or not, but I wanted to express my appreciation and gratitude for Nick Mifflin. As you may or may not be aware, Safe Yakima Valley's youth mentoring program partners with some of our local schools, including WAMS. The WAMS mentoring program is head and shoulders above all other because of, uppercase because of, Mr. Mifflin. As a frequent visitor to all of our local schools, I also head for the Crime Stoppers in Schools program, so I've been in all local districts. I can tell you that there is a unique culture to Washington Middle School, or WAMS. There's an air of positivity and teamwork that doesn't exist in other schools. You can sense that all staff have a strong relationship with students, and they genuinely want to make a positive impact in the students' lives. These attitudes and work ethic are also evident in the WAMS Youth Mentoring Partnership. While all the staff deserve a high five, I truly see that Mr. Mifflin is the driving force. YSD is so fortunate to have him. So I would invite Alicia Strom-Tobin, if you'd like to make a few comments, and then, yeah. Not yet, he's after you.
Thank you. So yes, I fibbed to Mr. Mifflin. He's like, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Oh, I saw you were on the agenda. I came to support you." So yes. So as Trevor said, I am the executive director of Safe Yakima. Been there since 2022. Prior to that, I was in banking, but have volunteered in the community for the last 24 years through Crime Stoppers. And in 2007, we launched the Crime Stoppers in Schools program. So we've had partnerships with schools since 2007. So I can tell you that I have physically been in near every school in this county. And when I sent that email, it wasn't sent lightly. I meant every word of it. When you walk into Washington Middle School, there is an air with everybody around you, from the secretaries that check you in, to the parapros, to the counselors, to the SROs. It feels like a family in that school. And while I commend Bill because he does turn him loose, the driving force is clearly Mr. Mifflin. And I think that needs to be recognized in a world where we often focus so much, we spend so much of our attention on the negative. I really wanted to highlight something positive. And just to give you an idea on the growth of our program. So we started with Washington Middle School, and as Trevor alluded to, our mentoring program, it targets youth that are 10 to 17 years old. They're identified as elevated risk youth for a variety of different reasons within each school. They refer the mentees to my staff, and my staff is then tasked with going out in the community and finding adult mentors who are caring and responsible and willing to mentor this youth for 4 hours a month for 9 months. And when we started, it was like 5 kiddos. Now at Washington, it's over 40 kids. We actually had to cap Mr. Mifflin because he was like, "You should be a mentor. You should be a mentor. You should be a mentor." So we were pedaling hard and fast to keep up with the referrals. And since then, we are in Sunnyside. Rob Darling was one of our mentors, and he said, "You're bringing this to Grandview." So we have 11 mentees down in Grandview. We have Toppenish who would like it in their school, so we're in the workings with that. We had a YPD officer reach out, said he was mentoring a kiddo from Lewis and Clark, so we called Lewis and Clark Middle School, said, "Hey, can we bring the program to you guys?" Yes. We just got a referral from Catholic Charities from a kiddo from Franklin Middle School and asked, "Can we bring this to your school?" Yes. So as of right now, we have 7 schools, including Davis High School, West Valley Middle School and High School, and then we have 3 that want to be onboarded. In addition, being inspired by him and saying, "Well, what else can we do?" We approached Mr. Diner and said, "Hey, you have some kiddos that are in leadership that need volunteer hours, in Honor Society, Key Club, different things. What if my staff provides training to those youth, same training we provide our adult mentors, so adverse childhood experience training, self-regulation skills, suicide prevention, and we empower them, and every Friday my staff goes to Eisenhower grabs these kids, walks them down to Whitney, and they mentor the elevated risk kiddos at Whitney that have been identified. And so we are building future leaders in the schools, and it started because of his program. And the other thing I commend him on is I come to him all the time with evidence-based strategies. Hey, Botman Life Skills that's shown to reduce substance use up to 80% for the kiddos that receive this life skills training. Positive social norms campaigns. Washington is one of 10 middle schools in the country currently participating in a positive social norms campaign. And just a snippet on that, I pitched it to him and he's like, let's do it. Again, evidence-based. And how I usually explain it to people is if I were to ask you guys, teachers, peers, kiddos, doesn't matter if I said, what's the percentage of 8th graders that vaped in the last 30 days, boys and girls? What would you guys say? Anybody else? We got 20 and 70. It's actually 10. And that is in line with across the country. So we survey the youth, but we don't even focus and say only 10% have vaped in the last 30 days. We flip the narrative and we focus on the positive and we say the overwhelming majority, AKA 90% of Washington 7th graders have chosen not to use substances in the last 30 days. And we bombard them with that message on pins and buttons and posters and different things. And it is a proven evidence-based strategy to move the dial because peers are influenced. If they think their 5 friends are vaping, they're more likely to vape. But if they realize that those 5 friends are not, or maybe it's only 1, they're going to flip the narrative and change those behaviors. And so he was a willing participant. And sometimes there's risks that you don't necessarily get rewarded, but I will tell you, he will reap the rewards. And I just want to say thank you and great job with him.
Can I leave on that too?
Good.
Do I need to speak?
Just some comments? Mr. Mifflin? Yes.
Are you going to share any of the data from the mentor program there?
No, I think you can go ahead and do that right
Well, I was told I wasn't speaking tonight, so I didn't bring any of that.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, this is actually,
No,
I think you're, hang on, I think Mr. Mifflin is missing the point of this right now. We are celebrating your leadership and what you've done. So
I don't like public recognition, but
I will share that information with the board. I'm sure that they will anxiously be waiting for some of the greater details, but I've given the overarching view. Just simply tell us what you're most proud with the program. That would be speak from the heart, nothing to prepare, just tell us why you do what you do.
I think one, we have a really cool team over at Washington of people that just want to work hard for kids, and that's why I love being there. Bill lets us do that. He pushes us to do that on a daily basis, which is cool. So it was nice to be able to say, go to him with like, hey, we want to do this. It's a lot of work. And then we recruited 50 mentors and we're like, we better reach out to our district lawyer and make sure that that's okay, right? And luckily we were starting at the same time and we're able to start that. And the first cool thing was just the overwhelming yes from community when they got a call from our school. We were able to like come to Safe Yakima the first year and say, we got 50 people that are ready to work with kids in the first year before we even had a program made. Just cold calling. Like we took the 39 under 39 list and we're like, hey, you want to come work with a kid? And 50 of them like, yep, let's do it. The second thing is now that we're in year 3, just the growth of the kids that are in the program. That's why I asked. I think that's the coolest thing is like, you think mentoring is going to be a long-term solution. We're seeing like immediate growth from a lot of the kids in it, which is really awesome. Just having that positive adult in their life that we all try to be when we're at school, but we can't be that outside of school for them. Having that in their life long-term has been like instant change for almost every kid in the program, which is pretty cool because we didn't anticipate that. So I think that's what's the coolest about our program right now. That's all I got.
Wonderful. Do you go ahead? Yes, please.
Well, in recognition of your hard work and your success, we do have a certificate to present to you from the board. And if you'd like to swing through the horseshoe, we'd like to shake your hand and give you a certificate.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Barb is making a note so that I will send you the PowerPoint that Nick has used on various occasions that lay out more information about the mentor program. I will let you know, or want you to know, that I have, when you do a great thing as an individual, I think one of the things that sometimes gets lost is why doesn't this then go expand outside of that one school? So it's important when something germinates, I think, from that ground roots level, that it's not forced, because that makes other kind of leaders, it just feels like it doesn't necessarily gain the momentum if there's not that commitment behind that. So we have very intentionally had him present to our entire leadership team. I have let other assistant principals and principals know throughout the district that, hey, you need to take a look at what's happening at Washington. And I anticipate that will start to gain some feed, and it sounds like it already is from what was shared about how many schools are being touched now, again, through the creation of this program through a small group of individuals led by Nick at Washington Middle School. So thank you again. Thank you all for being here to acknowledge Nick, and we'll get you that information at a little bit later date. Last item that I have for you is in our last meeting there, we had a celebration of our booster parents. And I'd like, Heather, could you go ahead and come on up and take the mic? I've asked Principal Hasty to come up. There was a question and inquiry around the disparity of number of boosters from one school and another school. And that's really something that's unique to those individual schools and how they operate. So I reached out, and Principal Hasty and I had a conversation. I asked her to just share with you what is happening at Davis regarding their boosters and how they're reaching out to parents and any plans that they have in the future. So I'd like to just go ahead and turn some time over to Principal Hasty.
Okay, thank you. I'll be very brief, but yes, we do have less boosters than there are at Eisenhower. Something different that we're doing this year is that we have one big Davis boosters, which we hadn't had in the past. So our parents decided to basically connect, and a good chunk of them became a larger group that then raise funds and money that get distributed in the way in which they choose to different, whether it's activities, athletics, graduating seniors. The POGS group is a kind of a subset of that larger booster, so it's something they're trying this year. And in addition to that, we are, two of our athletic director, Mr. Stanley, he's reaching out to coaches to make sure, especially with new coaches, to make sure they know the opportunities for parents, to let them know about boosters and what that is and how they could create it. Because although we need to remain rather separate, it's still, sometimes we don't know what we don't know. I mean, I'm a parent and I don't know some of the opportunities sometimes until I'm told of what are those opportunities. So he's working with our athletic coaches on that. And then Mr. Alvarado, who's in charge of our ASB, so our activities side, is working with our new ASB leaders and such, even some existing. But what we see is more who had been existing for quite a few years are the ones who have the boosters. And then when we have like new clubs or, new things that come in, perhaps we're not reaching out to the parents the way we need to let them know of the opportunities. And so he's working with the activity side. Mr. Stanley's working with the athletic side, with the coaches, and then with the advisors over here on this side. And then in addition, we do have that large boosters that has begun. They have a really good event on March 15th, just so you know, if you'd like more information. But anyways, that's what we're doing differently. And the parents are going to see how that works and how that goes. But additionally, we also are working with our new staff so that they can be reaching out to parents and let them know of those opportunities.
Great. And regarding this topic, I don't know if there are any questions from the board for Principal Hasty. Wonderful. Then right. I'm glad that we were able to address that. Thank you, Principal Hasty. And then the last item that is not listed, I simply want to update that in April, as I pull up my April calendar to make sure I get the dates right, I might have to look over at, oh, there it is. From the 12th of April to it looks like the 26th of April, that 2-week period, we have the Yamate exchange happening. So I think it's very important publicly to share that we are kind of in that home stretch. This is as we try to up the amount of exchanges. Remember, we were once every 3 years. we are shifting to a every other year rotation. But in doing that, we actually are picking up 3 consecutive years. So this is year 2 of that 3 consecutive years before going to the every other year. So the reason I mention this is if you, I want the public certainly to hear, but we are searching for host families, and that is becoming a bit of a concern because we know that 2-week time period is challenging for some folks. So we are engaging in a more active campaign to see what we can do. I did meet with one of our staff today over at our staff members at Nob Hill. I was there for a data session. They gave me a few moments at the beginning, and I spoke with that staff about that opportunity. We do not have to have families that have children in our local high schools. They just need to be able to get children, the students, to the high school, and then we have actually students that can pair up and take them for the 2-week time period that they're here. So we continue to work to achieve these goals of cultural exchanges and language acquisition and expansion of what is out there in the world and the opportunities. It does take a significant effort, and I want to recognize the work that is happening. I thank Kirsten Fitterer for her effort and her worry. I know that she's a little bit tense and stressed because of this, and I just wanted to let you know that if you know of anyone that is involved in or even thinking about an exchange, that would be a wonderful way to explore if they were thinking about having their child go away for a year or bring somebody else in for a year. A 2-week time period is a wonderful start. With that, I'll just conclude my superintendent update and ask if you have any follow-up questions at this time before we move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have calendar updates. Look, did you want to highlight some things, Kristen? Please.
Thank you, President Walker. First, I wanted to highlight that we have some varsity sports that are going to state, and that is occurring this week. So congratulations to the Davis girls and boys varsity basketball teams. Davis High School girls will play East Lake High School on February 28th at 12:15 in the Tacoma Dome. And Davis boys, their opponent is yet to be determined, but I'm sure we'll find that out very soon. My husband will probably be upset that I don't know exactly when we'll find that out, but I'll ask him. 3:45 on February 29th in the Tacoma Dome. Also wanted to bring your attention to, it is spring play season at Davis and Eisenhower. To get yourself organized, you can remember that Eisenhower's play is going to happen in March and Davis is going to happen in April. In March, Eisenhower will be doing the musical Oklahoma. They will have those dates and the times are 7 p.m. each night, but then when it occurs on a Saturday, there will also be a matinee at 2 p.m., so 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Those dates, and we invite the community to purchase a ticket and come to those plays. For Oklahoma at Eisenhower, it is March 14th, 15th, and 16th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then again on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, again a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For Davis, they are going to have the High School Musical as their play performance in April. And same thing, they will have the evening performances at 7 p.m. And then when we occur on a Saturday, it will also include that matinee at 2 p.m. The dates for the High School Musical at Davis are April 18, 19, 20. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then a repeat on Saturday the 27th for those 2 performances. Lastly, I would like to point out that the Davis Booster that we just learned about from Principal Hasty will hold a Mardi Gras dinner and silent auction as a fundraiser for Davis students, and most particular the Davis senior students. And that will occur on March 15th at Davis at 6 p.m. And the tickets are available online. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten, for the updates. I will leave, our board members can just read through the rest of the calendar on your own. We have now arrived at time for comment from the public. Is there anyone signed up to comment?
There is not.
Moving on. Next item on the agenda is approval for myself and Superintendent Green to travel and attend the National School Board Association Conference in April. And we can't give too much away except that we have been nominated for a prestigious award. So we feel it would be good to have someone for the district there to represent us. I brought that up a little bit last week or last time, I believe.
Certainly, and just to give some background information straight off of the request, it is the national event does bring together educators, educational leaders from across the country. We have this unique opportunity to learn about best governance practices during the time there, gain insights into child development, and explore cutting-edge programs with technology to enrich student learning. This is also an opportunity for President Walker and myself to work together with other national board leaders to learn and network with like-minded professionals. Also, then of course, there's a nomination for recognition as a board at the national level that takes place during that time there. So that gives you the background. The requested action is certainly to grant approval for the April 5th through 8th attendance of the national conference. Fiscal impact is included and the alignment with the strategic plan. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer or defer to President Walker.
Any questions on that? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved to approve this travel. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other discussion or questions? Okay, Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett? Aye. Director Navarro Jr.? Director Rice?
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva?
Aye.
President Walker?
Out.
You will abstain. Okay. Motion passes 4-1 to 0.
Okay, next up we have Mr. Marietta and approval of the Yakima Maintenance Association contracted agreement.
Thank you very much, President Walker. The requested action is that the Board of Directors approve the agreement between the... Not often people tell me I'm not talking loud enough. The requested action is that the Board of Directors approve the agreement between the Yakima Maintenance Association and the Yakima School District. This aligns with the strategic goal number 2. The fiscal impact is an increase of $103,660,000 to the current 2023-2024 school year pay. The impact to be determined by the legislature for IPD of our following year. Bargaining with the Yakima Maintenance Association has completed, resulting in a 2-year agreement. This includes the 2023-2024 through 2024-2025 school year. The increase to the base wage of 4.7%, which is to include the IPD, which was 3.7%, and an increase to the base wages of IPD to the second year of the agreement. The membership of Yakima Maintenance Association completed their vote on February 8th, 2024, to ratify the collective bargaining agreement as amended through the tentative agreements reached between the 2 bargaining teams. During the course of bargaining, the district bargaining team is now seeking approval from the Board of Directors. I would like to take this time to thank the Yakima Maintenance Association bargaining team, President Dusty Vickers, Van Henderson, Alex Lundstrom, Bruce Thompson, and Ismael Prado Garcia. I also want to acknowledge our HR Director, Chris Miller, and Program Manager, Olivia Martinez, who were the co-chairs of this bargaining agreement. This was the second time that they were chief negotiators for this, along with Kyle Soptic and William Hagel, our supervisory team.
Thank you. And do I hear a motion from the board?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Maintenance Association Agreement. Any questions or comments from the board? Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett? Director Navarro Jr.? Director Rice? Vice President Villanueva? President Walker?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next up, we have approval of to raise the encumbrance of the 23-24 school year contract for services with the Stepping Stones Group. Okay, Mr. Cooper will address that today.
Good evening, members of the board. Instead of Dr. Rodriguez, who's absent this evening, I'll give you a brief update on this. And so before you this evening is a request to increase the encumbrance for Stepping Stones, which is a longtime vendor. District has continued to utilize outside contractual services, and this purchase order had started at $200,000. However, we continue to use ASL and contracted SLP services. You'll notice that paraeducators are on there as well. That's to ensure that we have stopgap staffing until HR is able to staff once the position has been created. For example, will be a one-on-one para for a special needs student where we might have that window where we need short-term staffing. Then we would move over to hired staff. So again, we've continued to need contractual services in the area of special education in particular, which is where this is funded from. And so I would recommend that you would increase the current purchase order to the amount requested before you this evening. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Cooper? Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors grant approval to raise the encumbrance with the Stepping Stones Group LLC for the 23-24 school year in the amount of $590,000.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the raising of the encumbrance for Stepping Stones Group. Any further questions or comments from the board? Okay, Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett? Director Navarro Jr.? Vice President Villanueva?
Aye.
Director Rice?
Aye.
Sorry. President Walker? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for the approval.
Okay. Next up, we have the second opportunity for public comment. Are there any?
No commenters at this time.
So I do understand we have a need for a 15-minute executive session.
Correct, and that is for current or potential litigation with legal counsel.
Okay, and we will be meeting in the conference room, which is through the office here.
Thank you.
So do I hear a motion to?
I move that we adjourn to executive session for 15 minutes for the purpose of
Potential
potential
litigation.
litigation. Thank you.
Yeah. I need a second, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay.
The board came out at 6:05 and asked for 5 more minutes in executive session. Stay tuned.
Any further comments, questions for the good of the order? Meeting adjourned.